Today I'd like to share with you some examples of how businesses are reducing their climate impact, but at the same time saving money, making their operations more efficient, and getting their employees engaged and motivated. But before diving into this, I'd just like to give you a brief introduction to the David Suzuki Foundation. It was founded by Dr. David Suzuki, who's a well-known Canadian scientist, broadcaster, and environmentalist. We're a science-based environmental organization, and our headquarters are in Vancouver, Canada. At the Foundation, we're working to find solutions to help build a sustainable future. Our work with climate change in businesses led us to develop a how-to guide for businesses that want to reduce their climate impact. I won't be dealing with all of this material in 10 minutes today, but here's a quick overview of the contents of the guide. It covers all the main topics like measuring, reducing, and offsetting greenhouse gas emissions, and it also offers some ideas about how to address common challenges. It includes dozens of examples of businesses that are already taking action and links to further resources on every topic. An important lesson for us from our work with businesses is that there often is a strong business case for reducing climate impact. It really can be a win-win situation. Now, there are potentially a number of different ways that climate action can be good for business operations, but here are what we might consider the top three. The first is cost savings. The greenhouse gas emissions created by most businesses are mainly from burning fossil fuels and using energy. So when you reduce those emissions, you reduce fuel and energy consumption, and you save money. Second, there are often operational efficiencies associated with reducing the climate impact of a business. Essentially, you're finding ways to use fewer resources to get the same job done. And finally, sometimes overlooked but very important, is a positive impact that a strong program to reduce climate impact can have on employees, both existing employees and prospective employees that you're hoping to recruit. Now, I'll talk a bit more about this in a moment. But first off, here's a couple of quick business examples for you. Hudson's Bay Company is one of Canada's oldest department stores, and they're achieving some notoriety at the moment because they're actually supplying the clothing for the Olympic Games here in Vancouver. But they're not necessarily known as a cutting-edge company or a great innovator. But nonetheless, several years ago, they put in place a program to reduce their energy consumption, and they're now averaging annual savings of around $9 million. So $9 million every year saved because of those measures. Worldwide, IBM has been working to reduce its energy consumption since 1990, and it estimates that it has saved over $300 million as a result. And in terms of a climate benefit, that translates into more than 3 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions. So the potentially million-dollar question is, how do you do this? How do you identify reduction opportunities and get the related benefits? Well, first you need to understand where your emissions are coming from. The old saying, what gets measured gets managed, really applies here. Now, generally this means undertaking an emissions inventory. This will identify and measure the emission sources associated with your business. This is similar to accounting, and you usually look at a year's worth of greenhouse gas emissions. Smaller businesses might be able to do this themselves, but larger businesses will likely want to work with a consultant. The result of the inventory will let you know where your emissions are coming from, and it will help you evaluate what the best reduction opportunities are. Now, in the case of Walker's Crisp, doing an emissions inventory helped them identify a pricing policy that was unintentionally increasing their costs and their greenhouse gas emissions. Before they did the emissions inventory, Walkers were purchasing their potatoes by weight. To get a higher price, the farmers were storing the potatoes in special facilities to keep the water content and the weight as high as possible. After Walkers bought the potatoes, they were expending energy and money to dry the potatoes out for processing. Doing an emissions inventory helped them identify the situation and take steps to correct it by changing their pricing policy. This saved them money and reduced their emissions from energy use at the same time.